Hello and welcome. Good evening to another evening here at Linz. My name is Rainer Stropek and I am very happy to see you here at our today's virtual meetup. We have two amazing speakers waiting for you and I'm looking forward to two super interesting talks. But as usual, it is kind of tradition here at Linz that we kick off the evening with a round of community news where I have the honor to tell you a little bit about what we did in the last weeks and what's currently going on in the Linz IT community. So let me share my screen. Here it is. And let me tell you a little bit about what's going on here in Linz. As you know, the Linz Meetup is brought to you by the Coding Club Linz. We at the Coding Club Linz, we are a community of passionate coders, who write coding a large number of languages, and Rust is one of our most favorite languages, and therefore we run the Linz Meetup. Today's speakers, we have Christian. who will give us an introduction to Valet. I'm very much looking forward to this project, hearing more about it. And Christian told me that he will also speak a little bit about how they use Rust, how the code will be structured, so we learn a lot about the application of Rust in this interesting project. And secondly, we have Vitaly from JetBrains as a guest tonight, and he will tell us about a brand new IDE that his company developed about Rust Rover. Also, I think a very interesting topic. If you would like to stay in touch with us, if you would like to ask questions to the speakers, if you would like to talk to Stefan or me, you can always join our Discord server. Here you see the link. If you want, just click on the link or type it in and join our Discord server. Now to the community news. Let's start with a quick look into the past. We are pretty proud that something worked very nicely. Approximately 2 weeks ago, here in Austria, you have to know that we have autumn holidays. So kids have approximately 1.5 weeks of holidays here in autumn, and together with partners, the Fachhochschule Hagenberg and the Higher Technical School in Leolding, together with Business Upper Austria. So 3 companies, 3 organizations came together, and we at the Coding Club Linz, we started the Digitalferien, digital holidays for kids. We had more than 300 students, more than 300 kids visiting our workshop in 14 different schools. We were doing some Scratch programming, we were doing some game programming in TypeScript, and of course, we built robots out of empty milk bottles, as you can see it here on the photos. We had a lot of fun. It was a lot of work to prepare, but we are a little bit proud that we could implement this project. I had the honor to do one of the workshops myself. It was stressy, but it was very rewarding, and we loved every second of it. So Digitalferien 2023 was a great success. Next one in the same ballpark is the Coding Club Linz, Coder Linz. Coder Linz is our very own Coder Dojo. Coder Dojo, for those of you who don't know it, it's a programming club for kids between 8 and 17 years. We do free online workshops every single week, and bi-weekly we do in-person meetings. This week we have an online meeting. It will happen today as every Friday afternoon. So if you have kids, nieces, nephews, whoever who are in this age group and who would like to learn the basics of coding, they are always welcome here at the Coder Dojo Linz. Please take a look at our website to learn more about it. I get asked pretty frequently, yes, the workshops are in German. Unfortunately, we currently do not offer workshops in English. Our friends at Female Coders, they continue their workshop series, their study groups, and their next study group is on the 15th of November. Let me tell you a little bit about the Female Coders. Female Coders is another foundation here in Linz. They are a community of women and girls who either are already in IT or who would like to get into IT business. I think the Female Coders do a great job. We love to work together with them, and therefore I definitely want to mention their study groups because they are a great opportunity for women and girls to learn more about IT and to network. The next one is another community here in Linz. We have a cloud native meetup, and the next cloud native meetup here in Linz will be on November 21st. The topic will be GitOps and testing cloud environments. It will be, as always, I think, in the last few months, an in-person event. So if you are interested in cloud native computing, then this is definitely a community where you should take a look at. They are friends of us. We work closely together with them. We did workshops together in the past. So yeah, a warm hello, saying hello from here from the Rust Linz meetup to the Cloud Native Linz meetup. And I think that were our community news for this week. Thank you for listening, and I hope some of these events might be interesting for you. And with that, I think it's time to bring our first speaker of the evening on the stage. Hi, Christian.
Hello, how are you?
I am fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great today, thanks.
Very good, very good. Christian, I always ask our guest speakers where they are from. Where do you broadcast from?
I am currently broadcasting from Huntsville, Alabama. I normally am in just outside of Washington, D.C. in the United States. So
Ah,
I'm on a little trip today, but happy to be here and speaking with all of you.
perfect. Thank you very much for taking the time. Meetups like ours can only live if people take the time, people like you take the time to speak a little bit about their words, to speak a little bit about what they are passionate about. And I think one of your passion is valid, right?
Yes, I'm the primary author of Valid. Valid is a uh, cross-platform Rust-based peer-to-peer networking system. So it it exists to improve the state of privacy online and to help people build applications that don't require any kind of centralization. It enables new kinds of development paradigms where apps like mobile devices, it's mobile first, so iOS and Android apps, as well as your desktop apps and Linux servers and things, can all talk directly to each other without requiring centralized cloud services or central servers to coordinate the applications. It helps people build applications that don't depend on things like uh, advertisement and monetization of user data to help pay their cloud bill because it's a lot less because there isn't a need for it.
That sounds amazing. And Christian, I am looking forward to hearing more about it. And I'm pretty sure that our viewers are also curious to hear more about Valid. With that, I would
Sure.
like to hand the stage over to you. Do you want to share the screen to demonstrate something?
Sure. Why don't I just do that? Pop this
Mm-hmm.
open. Entire screen allow. And
Perfect.
can you
So
see that?
yes, we can see that. I put it on the stage. Wonderful.
Okay, awesome.
The screen
Okay,
is
so
visible. And with that, the stage is yours. Thank you for being with us, Christian.
absolutely. Thank you. Okay, so let's talk about what Valid is. Valid, uh, we have a repository. If you go to GitLab, we're in GitLab, not GitHub. Uh, you go to GitLab/Valid. You can see our group there. And there's a project here called Valid. And we have another thing called Valid Chat as our first big demo application, and some other little forks of projects. But the Valid repository here has a couple crates that we publish. Um, and you can see Valid Tools and Valid Core. The bulk of the Valid system is in this Valid Core crate. Um, right now, we're actually having some trouble building the documentation, but I think the next build will actually succeed on docs.rs. It'll make it a lot easier for people to understand what's going on, but I will give you a little tour of what Valid is. Open this up here. Okay, so effectively, Valid applications are Valid is intended to be embedded as a overlay network on top of the standard internet protocols that you use. So it does not provide a networking stack like TCP or UDP. It expects that you're using internet protocols, but provides a communication layer that connects all of the different Valid hosting nodes together across the internet. So if you have a mobile application and you link in Valid Core into it, it becomes a node in the network. If you build a desktop application or a server, Linux systemd application or anything like that, they all run the same Valid Core. So the same crate is embedded in all of the different platforms, including WebAssembly. Valid can run on Windows, Mac, and Linux, and it can run inside browsers, and it can run on iOS, and it can run on Android. And we actually test on all of those platforms, and they all work today. So if you have a great idea for a peer-to-peer chat program or a social network, we want to do a social network someday, or a video game that you want to write, these are uh, great target um, projects to use Valid. We have a Discord for anyone that wants to sort of talk with other Valid programmers or the core team. And if you go to valid.com, that's our little website here, veiled.com, you can see here, take back control, and we're talking about how it's an open source. It is fully open source. It is a Mozilla public license framework, so you can use it in both fully open source programs and free software, as well as commercial software if you choose to. But we definitely recommend people go as free as you can. We're building this built on the idea that everything should be able to be built without needing to be monetized. So unlike a lot of other peer-to-peer projects that you may see out there these days, like Web3 type things and blockchain type things that people are very passionate about, we really are trying to avoid building technologies into Veiled that require some kind of financial investment or a coin or any kind of blockchain where things are indelibly etched into a data structure on the internet. Really trying to build things that have zero barrier to entry for people. So you should be able to just run a Veiled application and have it be accessible to you. Where our target market for these applications are going to be everyone, not just technically or cryptographically savvy people or programmers. We're really trying to build Veiled as a means to write applications that can reach everyone. So, building a chat applications that just work. The defaults should just work out of the box. It should work on every kind of network. We have a Discord. I was going to show you the link there. If you go to this, it will redirect you to our community where you can go and chat with all of us. Okay, so without further ado, why don't I show you a little bit about the Rust side of things, since that's what we're here for. I chose Rust because it does a beautiful job of cross-compilation to other platforms, and I knew that WebAssembly was going to be something that I wanted to support with Veiled. So it was about 4 years ago, and I started talking about how do we improve on the state of peer-to-peer networking. There was a lot of projects out there like Tor, which provided the privacy guarantees that we wanted for people. You shouldn't have to disclose your IP address to everybody on the internet that you talk to. In the context of, say, a chat application, you wouldn't want someone sending you a chat invitation and then, by proxy of you looking at it or something, being able to figure out where you live or, even whether you're at work or at home. So IP privacy is very important to a peer-to-peer network, maybe more so than in centralized applications where that might not be visible to people, other clients, but only visible to some central place. So in peer-to-peer systems, you have a big privacy requirement, but you also have the general problem of distributed services, building file storage, for example, or key value stores. That's the kind of thing that centralized services have solved for a long time. And you've got cloud services like S3 and whatever that you can just push blobs into and then pull them down. So there's a number of challenges in the peer-to-peer space that need to be made simple. And there are technologies like IPFS and some of these other peer-to-peer systems that have solved some of those distributed storage problems, albeit maybe slowly. And they have some issues with things like people hogging bandwidth and needing Filecoin and other things, to help incent people to store things online. And there's some IP privacy issues with IPFS because they do not employ any kind of IP privacy. Basically, if you put a node online, you're handing over your IP address to whoever decides to store things on your node. So to basically take a lot of the good ideas that were out there and put them all in one place and make it accessible, we built this Veiled Core. And Veiled Core is a crate that provides all of the sort of low-level networking primitives and private routing capabilities and a distributed hash table with some interesting data structure capabilities that a lot of other DHTs do not have. So the network manager is our sort of lowest level, and that has implementations for native code and for WebAssembly because they're very different. We support communication in a unsequenced form over UDP as well as sequenced form over TCP. But when you're in a browser, for example, you have to use something like WebSockets. And WebSockets, while it's over TCP, has got very different semantics and um, you the way you actually instantiate a WebSocket's different. So we support WebSockets and secure WebSockets, and all of the different nodes can support some subset of those things. So abstracting that away into unsequenced and connection-oriented sequenced protocols is sort of this network manager's job. Now, the first thing that happens when you launch a Valid node, any Valid node, is that it has to find other Valid nodes. So this is the one piece that is a tiny bit centralized, and that is because we use DNS to use a text record. And it will do a bootstrap text record lookup to find a set of nodes that exist. And they don't have to be special. There's nothing special about bootstrap nodes. They all just run the same Valid core as everyone else, but they don't have any kind of special signaturing or blessing from some kind of Valid organization. We do have a U.S. nonprofit that is a steering committee for Valid, but it doesn't have any kind of special control over the Valid network. We do have the DNS entries for the bootstrap, and that's it. So you make the DNS text record to bootstrap.valid.com. It pulls down, or bootstrap.valid.net. It pulls down the just a few public keys and some IP addresses to go look. And any node can be a bootstrap, actually, but the default ones will just pull a bit of routing table from a few nodes that are kind of guaranteed to be up. And after it's done that for the first time, those are saved locally in a routing table, and those routes and the existence of those nodes is cached. And it's going to end up caching. It's going to ask those nodes, hey, what other nodes do you see that are near my own node in hash space? What does that mean? Well, every node has a 256-bit identifier. Our hash space is 256 bits wide. And we have a cryptography suite that we've blessed for all nodes to use. And each node's node ID is a public key in that space. So everything is authenticated automatically and encrypted between nodes. So there is no unencrypted communications going on the network. So if one node talks directly to another, it is encrypted with a Diffie-Hellman exchange of those two node IDs public keys. So everything that goes between two nodes is encrypted, and then also signed as a result. So you can't just forge communications from one node to another. You also can't forge a node's peer info, which is how is it reached across the internet. So let me give you a sense for what all of that looks like. So you have a network manager that handles the connections. We have a cryptography suite we call VLD0, which is sort of a blessed set of different protocols. We have Blake3 Digest that we use, and ED25519 and X25519 for DH. So there's a bunch of cryptography choices that we've made that we kind of bless into this VLD0 crypto system. And then we have a routing table that keeps track of all of the different peers, and routing table is probably going to grow to be about 200 other nodes beyond your own node. But it also manages what we call private routing. We have a selection mechanism that goes through and measures the performance of every node that it sees and keeps statistics on those nodes. So in the background, Valid is checking to see how reliable other nodes are and over what protocols. It can handle IPv4 as well as IPv6, and we'll do testing in sort of low bandwidth, low overhead. We're talking maybe 5 or 6 kilobytes per second tops of overall bandwidth use, just sitting in the background, checking the routing table, looking for the reliability of other nodes. So if nodes are shown to be reliable, they can be chosen to participate in private routing. And this is done like Tor, where you have like an onion routing system where you pick a few nodes and say, okay, I'm going to make sure I send through those nodes and pass along an encrypted blob that gets layers peeled off of it cryptographically at each hop. Now, the destination that you want to send to also publishes what we call a private route. So you have these two routes. You have your safety route, which is the thing that you allocate yourself, and the private route, which your destination has allocated and published. And you snap those together to form a combined route, which lets you have a certain number of hops from your source location, which remains private through your safety route, and the destination, who is private through its private route. You put those together, you have a flow that gets created between nodes on Veiled without disclosing the IP address of the nodes. And that is a sort of a living thing as the network has different, quality. You might have your node might actually be a mobile phone, and you go through, you're driving and you go through a tunnel and you lose connectivity, or you switch from Wi-Fi to cellular networks. Veiled transparently handles the reassociation of your node to the Veiled network. So if you come and go, maybe you won't be selected to participate in private routes because you don't always show reliability online. So, it's always sort of trying to judge how capable other nodes are, and only asking other nodes to assist when it feels that they will actually be able to do so. So keeping that in the back of your mind, Veiled is doing a lot in the background to keep the network performing well, and to enable services like this private routing. Veiled uses an RPC mechanism that is got a protocol that is based on a funky programming RPC programming system called Captain Proto. If you've heard of Captain Proto, it's sort of like Protobuf, but you can see that we build Rust code from this definition here, and this is the Veiled wire protocol, which gets encrypted. But you can see that we use these RPCs, like these operations, and there's three kinds. I'm scrolling down to the bottom of this relatively extensive file, but you can see we have questions, and some of them are simple, like status, which is like our ping, and a find node, which helps you find other nodes that are close to another node in hash space. Then we have things like our DHT, get value and set value commands, and a watch value command, which will tell you when a value has changed online. And then calls that can be passed up to the application layer, whoever's hosting Veiled. And then you can see statements are things that don't require answers. So it's like a unidirectional RPC. And then we have bidirectional RPC. So you have questions and answers. And these are all managed. They have timestamps. They are all signed. And they can be sent over both direct between nodes, or they can be sent over private routes. So real quick, before I go any further into this, there is some sort of user consumable examples that I can show you. Veiled server is a Veiled node that is literally just Veiled core running as a server side application that it doesn't have any UI per se. But if you run this, you can see it. I've already built it, but it takes a little bit. Open this up a little more. Okay, so now I just did a whole bunch of things. I turned on debugging, but you can see here that it is got a big old log. It goes through all of your local IP addresses, figures out what your public IP address is, handles all of the NAT and IPv4 network address translation and firewalling and all of that to make your node reachable and accessible. And then you can connect to your node with our CLI, which is an administration console. And you can see here all of these other nodes and their addresses and how they're reached. This one is over UDP, this one's over TCP. You can see their ping times. And it builds a relatively extensive list of all of these other nodes. And these are the ones I'm able to reach directly right now. I'm going to see the routing table buckets. You can see we have 8, 23, 16, 5, 9, 4. All of these. So these are spaced by how far away in hash space they are. These are all of the node IDs that we see, and if you want to type help, you can see the kinds of commands that are available. You can see what our dial info for our own node is. And this is our local network. And then this is the kind of network that we're on. We're on a port restricted NAT. And here are 3 different ways of reaching me over certain different IPs. And here are the port numbers. And here's how you'd reach it over WebSockets. And each node gets to publish this dial info to other nodes, and they all talk to each other. There is an API that hides all this stuff from people and lets you build real-world applications. I can show you what that might look like. We have bindings for Valid Core through to Python and Flutter through Dart. So you can build real rich both web applications and desktop applications. So right here, you can see a Flutter app. And Flutter is sort of a cross-platform programming environment that builds all of the different target platforms that we care about. Makes it relatively declarative and easy to make GUI applications. You can see this is Valid Chat. This is running a Valid node in the background. You can see that same scrolling list of stuff going on in the background there in my log, but to the user, it looks just like this. And I could say, hi, my name is Chris, and I am a he, him, and I hit create. And it's going to go ahead and create a new account. And you can see in the background, it's doing all of these DHT operations. It's actually using other Valid nodes to store my new account that I just created. And this is like a little chat app. It's got some color schemes. It's very simple right now, so pardon the simplicity of it all. But if I wanted to chat with anyone else, you can create a contact invitation, which is sent out of band. I can create an invite, and you would scan this code, and someone else out there that is running Valid Chat could accept that invitation either directly or you could copy and paste it. And I don't have it actually demoable right now. I haven't published this to the App Store yet. We have an iOS app and an Android app that we're working on publishing very soon. But you'll be able to just accept that invitation and click on it and chat with your friend. Now, the thing about this is that it does not require any central servers. There is no Signal server or a Facebook Messenger server that it talks to. You are literally just talking through other servers that happen to be Valid nodes. So yeah, if there's a very popular application, let's say Valid Chat here becomes very popular, it will not be the only things that it talks to. So Valid Chat will not just talk to Valid Chat nodes, it talks to every other node that exists. So if one app becomes very popular, all of the other apps that are not very popular will actually all gain strength on the network because they're all running the same Valid core. This means every app is helping every other app become capable online. They can perform relaying and help each other out. They all can do DHT operations for each other. So it's a very collaborative development system where the apps that you're writing are all helping other apps that other people are writing work online. So it's got a lot of community ideals built into it. And I'm pretty proud of the way it's all come together. We have a great community. Our Discord has about 3,000 or so people, with maybe a couple hundred active at any one time. People are building all kinds of different things with this. So yeah, feel free to hop on our Discord and ask us questions. And there's better documentation available, and we're working on a couple books, much like how Rust has the Rust book and the Rustonomicon. We are doing a book on Valid for API consumers. and a Veiled internals book to talk about how to contribute to Veiled as a project. Um, yeah, I don't know what else to really talk about right now about it. There's I could talk about the DHT a little, but I'd be willing to take questions if Rainer would like to forward any, if there are any questions.
Thank you, Christian. Thank you for these first introductory word. Yes, we have questions. The
Okay, great.
first one, with the first one is Harold. Harold is asking whether he understood it correctly that a Valet is something like Tailscale or Headscale, but without VPN technology, but on a kind of application level. So not just a pure network, but if you want to build an application that does something similar, you can use Valet. That is his
That's
question.
correct.
What would you respond?
Yeah, that is correct. Veiled uh, is not designed to be, say, a proxy. A lot of people are like, "Oh, if it's like Tor, can I access websites through it?" No, everything that is built with Veiled stays inside the Veiled network. I mean, someday will probably write a proxy that uses Veiled. That's likely, but today the point of it is to connect applications together. So yes, Harold's perspective on this is very much the right kind of way of thinking, and uh, I, I expect that down the line, people will find many ways of using Veiled as a general purpose networking proxy or networking tool. But the focus is for building applications that have that kind of connectivity in mind. Yeah.
Mhm. For people who might not be as familiar with tools like Tailscale and so on, one question might come up. Do I need to open my firewall in order to participate with with Valet? Or how do you travel through NATs and things like that? Can you
Okay.
elaborate on that a little bit?
Absolutely. Okay. So the answer is no, you don't have to do anything at all.
Mhm.
Veiled just works outside of the box in every different kind of network. And when I say every kind of network, I mean it. There's every type of NAT out there. You've got symmetric NATs and carrier grade NAT and full cone NATs and restricted NATs that are both port or address restricted. And then you've got direct IP address access as well. And you've got IPv4 and IPv6, and Veiled has to work on all of those configurations without any modifications or configuration. Now, that doesn't mean that, if you wanted to make a big contribution to the network, you wanted to set up a very powerful node to help with, or a bunch of nodes to help with the DHT. There are ways to configure your network to make it more capable or more helpful. Obviously, a direct IP address with no firewall required um, is going to be able to be more useful on the network to other nodes. But to just be a client to have your app pop up and work, um, it there are some technologies out there that are in common use for NAT traversal that you may have heard of, like stun and turn. When stun is used to help find your public IP address and to assist with port forwarding. Then there's things like turn, which are relaying and uh, the ability to make reverse connections through firewalls through signaling. And then there's other things like UPnP, which help configure your firewall's um, external ports and the port forwarding from let's say, a home router. Veiled does not use those protocols. It does use UPnP if it's available on your network, but we have our own Veiled specific dial info and forwarding and relaying system that keeps everything in network. You see, because most of the stun and turn servers that those protocols use are run by companies like Google or Facebook or Comcast or AT&T or these other network service providers. They provide a bit of centralization that we're not comfortable with. So every Veiled node is also capable of helping other Veiled nodes do things like stun and turn. There's relaying and a public IP address detection that is part of the Veiled protocol. It is inspired by stun and turn, But it doesn't actually use that protocol. It uses a Valid specific RPC called validate dial info that does that work. So all of the public address detection, port forwarding, all of that stuff is actually all done within Valid and only by Valid nodes. So it stays completely in network and does not require any kind of external help from outside the Valid network to function. So
Mhm. Very interesting, very fascinating. Thank you for pointing that out.
yeah,
Now, Christian, I understand that Valid is an open source tool, an open
it
source
is.
project. So
Yep,
I guess you are taking contributions from open source developers, and
we are.
if you do, which kind of contributors do you look for? If we have passionate Rust developers here in the group of our viewers, where could they help?
Absolutely. If you go check out our GitLab, we have we take pull requests on
Mhm.
all parts of the system currently. We have a lot of work being done on different bindings to different languages. So if you want to help connect Rust to Java for us, or Rust to Python, or Rust to Dart, we just did Dart, but there's other languages and platforms that we might want to achieve connectivity with. But then there's also, for those that really want to dig into our routing protocols and help us build the next generation of Valid services, we have a distributed hash table that is nearly done. We have a few things left to do on it, but we have an up and coming block store protocol that we would love to have more conversations about. We want to build um, sort of mm, a different kind of block storage system. Um, right now, IPFS is sort of based on a coin to some extent in terms of being it to get people to pin files and to serve
Okay.
files. We're looking at building a sort of proof of sharing system where instead of you know paying people to host files. We allow you to host. If you host a certain number of megabytes of stuff, you're allowed to publish a certain number of megabytes of your own stuff. So basically,
Yeah.
sort of a more I don't know, say communist way of doing storage. So basically everybody helping everybody else out, propagating uh, content across the internet. So we're working on building that out. In general, we need also plenty of more help with documentation, and
Documentation.
it's always a challenge trying to get everything out of core developers' heads and into a more consumable fashion.
Mhm.
But documenting the APIs better and building more test applications, um, just using the system and helping us find bugs and crushing them is always kind of where we're at. We are still pre 1.0, so we do occasionally do the API breaking changes. We're at version 0.2.5 today, so still an early project. We've only been
Okay.
published open source for like a couple months now, but we're getting better at interacting with the open source community, and uh, would love to help people make their own Valid applications. So if you have great ideas, bring them to our Discord and let's chat.
Okay, that sounds very interesting. I myself am a little bit active in the .NET and Go community, so I could
Those are great.
imagine taking a look at those language binding because I think the project is really amazing. Do you maintain a kind of good first contribution list, something like this in your tracker, in your issue tracker, where people can pick up first simple things, maybe to get started or something like this, or
I would
should they
definitely
just
recommend just looking in the issues list and seeing if
okay?
something looks simple. We don't have any tags for like uh, whether things are easy or hard, but
Mhm.
there are definitely certain issues that are just sort of like easier starter issues. Another place to go through would just be to go through our documentation that we do have. If you go to the GitLab, there's
Mhm.
some MD books, markdown books for
Mhm.
Valid that we're starting on, reading through
Mhm.
those and assisting with helping to flesh out the pieces that are missing.
Mhm.
Could also be a fine first project for anybody learning the system. Go through, figure out where things are not obvious, and help write up your experiences so that others have an easier time getting started themselves.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay, that sounds super interesting. Christian, thank you very much for
Thank you.
speaking with us about this project. I have to admit that I only recently learned about Valid when I read a large article in a German digital newspaper about IT. Maybe you are pretty
CT,
aware
yes,
of
yes,
exactly, and it
yeah.
immediately caught my attention, and I find it great. Thank you very much for the time you
Thank you.
spent on this project, because I guess you spent pretty a decent amount of time for this
It was
project.
3 years of my life, very, very much dedicated
Oh,
to
wow.
building this. So yeah,
That's the spirit of an open source developer. Thank you so much for doing
thank you
that.
so much.
And thank you so much for being with us today. Christian, have a nice evening. Have a nice day. Greetings from Europe to the US. Thank you for
Okay,
being with us.
okay, enjoy. Bye bye.
Thank you. Goodbye. Yeah, I think that was a very interesting first talk. What do you think about Valid? Is it interesting? You can write your thoughts in the chat, and I already see people saying that this is a very interesting project. Again, thank you, Christian, for the presentation. And with that, I would like to bring up on stage our second speaker of the evening. Hello, Vitaly.
Hello, Rainer.
Hi, Vitaly. Just as with Christian, I would like to ask you, where are you broadcasting from? Where are you located?
Well, I'm from Cyprus, so right
Cyprus.
there.
So we are very, very international today here in Linz and Cyprus and the US. So great. Vitaly, I think your talk will be a little bit different. We had a very interesting open source project, and now we are going to hear something about an IDE which we can use to contribute to Valid, can't we?
That's true, of course.
That's true. Very nice. You work for JetBrains, if I read that correctly, on your LinkedIn page, and you are a developer advocate there. Is that correct?
Yes, that's it.
Ah, very interesting. So I am absolutely sure that many of our viewers are looking forward to this talk because as developers, every developer is very passionate about the IDE. Does it give one the development productivity that one wants to have? Can I customize it in the way that I want to see it? And we are all very much looking forward to your talk, to your presentation. So let me bring up your screen. I think you said you also do not have slides. We have a completely slide-less evening today. I know that our viewers love that. So here we are. This is your screen. Vitaly, are you ready to start your presentation?
Yep, I'm ready.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Again, thank you for being with us here at Rust-Linz, and the stage is yours.
Okay, thank you, Rainer. So it's my second time speaking at Russ Linz. Actually, like last time I was speaking a year ago, and I was physically in Linz once, by the way, and I love Kunstmuseum Lentas, by the way. So I enjoyed it very much. So yeah, I like Linz a lot. And here I'm going to talk with you about Rust Trova, our recently released IDE, Rust IDE. And this is actually first ever public talk on Rust Trova, to my knowledge. So, and I'm glad that it's Rust Linz where I'm speaking about it. So, well, we all developers, we know what IDE is about. But Rust Trova is a little bit special here. Like, so here is, let me start with an idea that we put behind Rust Trova. So there is a compiler, and Rust compiler, as we know it, is very strict. It requires us to write absolutely correct code in Rust. And then there are we developers. And we developers, we are not that strict. We make mistakes. Sometimes we don't know how to write this stuff correctly. And Rastrova is something between a developer and a compiler. So this position sitting between these two things actually gives us like an understanding. Why do we need that? So an idea behind Rastrova is to bring thoughts from a developer's ideas to something that is understandable by a compiler. And in this very talk, I'm going to show you some features that implement exactly this idea. So how to bring ideas from a developer to an appropriate form accepted by a compiler. And right now, Rastrova is an early access program. And that means that it's totally free. Anyone can download it, install it. And as this early access program product, we ask everyone to contribute. Like if you install it, if you see something, say something, as they say. So please, if you see some problems, submit a bug report. It's very easily. You just use this menu item for submitting bug report, and then you just go to our issue tracker, and then everything is included. Like you can attach your logs, stuff like that. So please. So we are doing this product for developers. So we want developers to be happy using this product. So that's why we ask to submit bug reports or maybe feature requests or whatever. So we are very open speaking to Rust developers because we are doing a product for them. So in this talk, I will show you my screen, my IDE. So here is Rastrova. And I will show how to use it and how we see the process of development in Rust. So, and how we build Rastrova around this very process. Okay, so some of you don't like, as I know, light themes. I prefer light themes. Some of you may prefer dark ones. And it's very easy to switch, of course. And I will start showing you these features with this control backtick feature. So it's very easy to just choose some other theme. For example, it can be something dark, like here, or another dark theme, or very high contrast theme. So I myself prefer light one, but it's very easy to change actually. You see that I'm using like huge font size here, and some of us need that. Of course, it's possible to make it smaller or larger. Everything is possible here. And I'm using zoom here. Once again, control backtick, and zoom can give you like 100 or 200 zoom. And it's very conveniently switched. And well, it's a very useful feature because like sometimes I feel like my eyes are not that good as they used to be, so I need something like that, and it's important to have an easy thing to change that. So we have a project window as usual. I will show it to you like this one, and we can explore our projects, of course. We also have a cargo tool window, and we use cargo behind that that project. So every project management task is done via cargo. So of course we use that. So here you can see this one binary in this project. It's a very small one, just nothing behind this hello world project. So we can I don't use tabs here. You see there are no tabs, and I will use Command E to switch between files in this project. So you will see that very often here. And of course, I can run a program. And when I run a program here, I actually invoke Rust compiler, and it builds everything. And then we run it, and we see that this phrase is printed here. So, but this is IDE, but the main idea behind IDE is to make it easier to write code. So let me show you a lot of like tricks how we write code in Rust, well, using Rastrova here. So I'll start right here, and I will remove this for now. And by the way, you can see those like tips at the bottom part of the screen. If you are interested in shortcuts, they're written there, so you can read it and use on yourself if you like. So I want to do something like this. So I can add format string argument. Of course, I can write it like by typing, but I can also do something like this. So I want to have the same line, but like this. So you see, it's like faster. So we are making this stuff faster. Like right now, maybe I don't want to have this a literal. So let me introduce a variable, for example, here, variable, just one shortcut, and that will be name. What are we actually saying here? So very easy, and it's an example of a refactoring here. So we just extract a variable and we give it a name, and you see that it's done very quickly. And of course, usually if we are writing some desktop application, we use command line arguments, and for that we'll need some structure. Let me write it here. So like structure, and of course everything is auto-completed. So that will be a structure with arguments, and I will define a variable for command line arguments. But remember, I'm showing you tricks. So this is not tricks. Okay, so this is just regular programming. But now I'm going to show you tricks. Like for example, so you want this name come from command line arguments. Okay, I'll write it as if it's there, but of course it's not. And you see that this underline red line here, so something is wrong, and we can check what is wrong, and we can actually fix it. So how to fix this? Well, we have to add this field to type. We can do that very easily. So what's it? It's a string actually. Okay, great. But now you can see another issue. Like when we defined a variable for arguments, there is an error there. And there is an easy way to go to that error. I just press F2 and I'm here at this very position of the next error. So once again, this is something to make your code faster. So what's the problem here? There are missing fields. Of course there are there. So we can add them very easily. And let me copy this here. And now we don't need this name, this line anymore. So I hope you see this. These shortcuts, they help you to write code faster. So that's all about Rust Robot. That's all about making it easier. But of course it's not just that. If we are writing command line application, of course we use clap these days. This great crate for creating command line interfaces. And to make this workable here, we need something like parser we need to derive parser to get all those command line arguments generated for us. Okay, so let's start doing that here. So we are deriving, we are completing this code, and we are deriving parser. And here is something interesting. So let me zoom here. So this word parser, it's actually has this red part, and that means that we don't have the dependency for that right now. But Rust Robot knows that we're having this dependency, so that we need this dependency. So what we do actually, we add this. And at this very moment, this dependency is added to a project automatically, and we can actually start coding using it. So let's check that in Cargo Tomo. So it's here. This dependency is already here, but I did not add it here. It was added automatically. And while we're here, look, so we can, I don't like providing full versions. Maybe I prefer something like that. But here you can see it's actual version that is used in this project. We don't have 4.4, we have 4.4.7. Okay, so that's dependency management here. And for example, we can also have some completion for macro arguments. Those macro commands come from clap itself. So for example, we can add default values. So Rust rover is aware about those common macro arguments coming from clap. So that will be, just to make things easier, that will be this Rust Linz string. And now with all this stuff, I don't need this initialization, and I'll just write parse function. And now we have a full command line application, and I can run it and we can look at it. So here is a result. So this is a way of programming with Rust rover. And I will go to some more complex examples now. And the idea for everything here is like how to make it faster, how to make it easier. So I have, in this project, I actually have a file with some imaginary events. So you can see it's like a date and some imaginary place, country code, stuff like that. So my idea is to parse and to process this list, to do something with it. So, and along the lines, I will show how we can use Rust rover to do exactly that. So we are reading a file. Let's have a variable file, and we open something. And then we need a file name, and it's a path. And Rust rover knows that it's a path, so we'll have a completion actually here. So it knows that there is this data directory, and then there is this events.txt file. Okay. By the way, we can, so we need a semicolon there, and we can add it by this completing current statement command here. And we see that file is a result. So we have an inlay hint, and we'll need to, well, not the very best practice, but anyway, I'll unwrap it here. So now I want to like to have to make this, well, we can make this name another argument. That's not too hard coded, but well, for now that will work for me. We need to read this file, and let's suppose that this file is a big one, so we need a buffered reader. So I don't want to read everything into one variable. That's not safe approach, as we know in Rust. So let me define a reader. That will be a buffered reader. And we create it from that file. Here we are, we have reader, and now we need to have a loop over the lines. And for that, we use so-called live templates. So once again, so I'm sorry for repeating that, but once again, the idea is to type as less as possible. So because like IDE should think for us. So I'm doing this here, and you see that's important thing. So we have two positions to fill, and the active position here is actually second one. So we provide the source of data, reader.lines. Here we are. And the first position is filled automatically. It's some line here. Okay. So now we can write this code here. So for the first problem, let's just count the lines. So we'll need some counter, like for example this C variable, 0 in the very beginning, and then I'm just doing something like this, C++. Okay. Well, there should be a problem. So what is the problem here? So we can just let's check. Well, there is no such thing as C++ in Rust. So you cannot write that. You need to replace it. You need this plus a sign. So Let's do that. So this is an example of so-called permissive parsing. So we call it that way. Permissive means that we allow a developer to type something in the wrong way, but we try to understand it anyway. And like in this case, if you are coming with a C++ background, writing some Rust code, then you just have to change a lot of habits, right? So, and you are used to write that C++, that incrementing. So we know that. And we try to help it like this way. We suggest to change it to something which you should do in Rust. But there is another problem here. Let's check what's the problem. Well, of course, it should be mutable. So everything is under control. And it just, for many cases, it's a job for IDE to fix your code, like in these examples. Okay, so we just do it, and let's run. How many lines are there? And it's I need to print it. Okay, let's print it right now after the loop. So I'm adding one argument here. Oops, sorry, and that should be C. Okay, and now let's run again. So how many lines are there? 500. Okay, that's fine. And by the way, I don't like this name. It's C. It should be counter, something like that. Okay, so let's continue. We have a lot of other stuff to do. And once again, I want to show you how to code in Rust. Okay, so that's the title of this talk. So I want to apply regular expressions to work with those lines. So let me add something like here, like regular expression will be, once again, so this regex is red. So we don't have this dependency, but it will be there for us very easily. And then we create something new. And I don't have time to come up with this quite sophisticated regular expression, but I have prepared it already, and I will use live templates for that too. I have that template here, so-called pattern event. So pattern regular expression for events, and here is it. So it's user-defined expression, and it's very easily to add, very easy to add your own leaf template. So here we are, and I think I will need unwrapping here. And if you look closely, like let me show it. There is something green here, green background. What does it mean? Well, that means that we've injected some other language. And this is a very powerful concept here in Rust Trova. So we have a code in Rust, and this is a regular expression, and regular expressions are written in some other language. And we can do this injection, and we can work with that injection differently. Like, for example, here with this regular expression, we can check it. There is a special dialog for that. So you see that this expression is correct. And if I change something in this sample, there will be problems. Like if I try to write something like that, it's not correct stuff here. Sorry. It's not the correct stuff. Why it's not correct? Well, let's I'm sorry. So so where is it? So there should be, we know that there should be numbers, letters here, and I have numbers, so I should fix it. Okay, so that's a very easy thing, but something like that, so we can just check it. And then there is also so-called editor for expressions. So if you are like not okay to edit it somewhere in your Rust code, you can have the dedicated editor, and you can work here. I don't need it right now. So that's an idea. So we are making life of developers easier here. So and then I will need a if expression to check, like to count only lines which satisfy this regular expression. I will use some other feature which is called surround with, and it is called with this combination, uh, option command T, surround if with if here. So if re is match, and what should be matched, like this line, we have this line, but it's not just line, it should be unwrapped here, and then it should be string, so to match the types. Okay, so we are here, and let's run it again and see how many lines satisfy this. And it takes some time because regular expressions are not that quick, and we still have 500 here. There are even more ways to make life of a developer easier here. So if you look closely at this regular expression, you will see named groups. Like we have a group date, we have a group year, we have a group month, so on and so forth. And we can actually extract or request those groups or values for those groups. So let's have these captures here. That is done with a captures function. So we are doing this. Maybe, you know what, maybe I'll need this variable unwrapped already for me. So we are capturing this stuff, okay? And then we can, for example, check a year. So what about year? It's easy. By the way, look here. So no, we have, I think it should be, oh, it's an option. It's an option, so we need to unwrap it. Sorry for all that unwrapping. It's bad trust, but it's easy to do that stuff here. Okay, so here we are, and we have a completion even here. So remember, I told you about those language injections. So we've analyzed that regular expression, and we know that there are named groups there. So we can suggest those names here. So you don't have to remember them. They're right here. So I can ask for year. And maybe I think it's also borrowing stuff, so I will need to fix it. And for example, we can just let's remove this check. We don't need it anymore. So we can compare this year. For example, are there any events for the current year, 2023? Let's see. How many events like that are there? Okay, 12 events. Okay, that's nice, I think. Is it a good thing to write stuff like that in our code, like hardcore year number? Well, that's not safe, at least. So we need to know what is actually current year is, and we can use Chrono library for that, for example. And that's another feature, actually, another collection of features. So we're using Chrono, but there is no such dependency at this time. Well, Rust-Prova can help us. Just easily add it to the list of dependencies. And maybe we can ask for local time, and there is now function. And from this variable, we can get a year. For example, here is this year property specifically for that. But I need a string. After all, part of expression is a string. So I'll use format for that. And this is a very new feature. It's a really brand new feature that was implemented like days ago, and it's available from the most recent build. It's completion for format strings. You know what? I never remember all that stuff here. So what to write? And here I have all the examples. Like I can extract month or day or whatever, like all format stuff is right here. I will need year, but you see that it makes life of a developer much easier. Okay. And Well, you may think, by the way, let me make a pause for a second. You may like have this idea that I am selling. Well, I'm not selling because Rastrova is not a paid product at this time, and it's not going to be paid product for some time in the future while it's in early access period. But my idea is that this helps developer a lot. Like, we don't have to remember things. We don't have to be very precise. And IDE is going to help us. That is how IDEs should work. They should not punish us for our mistakes as compilers usually do. So they say, you have an error. Of course, Rust compiler can give recommendations. We know that. And error messages are really great. But the goal of IDE is completely different. The goal of IDE is to give us a solution to our problem. And this is exactly what I'm trying to show to you, how Rastrova is helping a developer to fix their problems. Okay, so this is a year now. And so let's compare with this year. And of course, I don't like this. Why it's year now? It should be current year, right? Something like that. It's current year. Okay, so it was 12. Let's check if we are doing that. Oh, there's some issue. There is some issue. Of course, it's I think it should be like string. Yep, it should be string here. Let's run it again. And how many lines? 12. Okay, so like this works for now. Okay, we have much more actually. So so we have this current year calculation, and we have quite a huge main function right now. So let's extract this calculation for a current year to a like function. Oops, sorry, that's dock screen, which doesn't look good with this zoom level. So I'm extracting function. If you don't remember a shortcut, there is a shortcut for that, but I can use the menu. I'll extract method here, and I will call it current year. No arguments, obviously. So that's it. And let me jump to it. Here we are. And once I have a function, I have to write tests for it. Or maybe I should write tests before writing this function. But in this case, it's vice versa. So how do we write tests? So we usually in Rust, we have testing modules. And I am using live template here for generating this testing module. And it was tmod. And I have test functions here. Maybe this test current year. And how do I write those tests? Well, maybe a sort equal, something like that. But once again, these are more live templates for developers, like a sort equals. Like current year, which should be, I'll make a mistake for now, like this one. And one more a sort equals for the same function, like the right one. Well, very stupid, but I'm sorry. We can run those tests. I just want to show you one nice feature here. So let's run those tests, and we can see that there are some problems, and it's very easy to see where we have a problem. Like this call is all right, but this call is a bit problematic. So we have some issues here, and of course we have fixed it. We can fix it. So the suggestion is to change to 2023, and if we change that, of course that should work, or I hope so. Now we have two sort equals which are the same, but still. So live templates We generate test module, test function, assert equal. Everything is generated very quickly. Okay. Even more things to do. And let's, for example, we have this event information. We can put this stuff into some structure. Like, for example, have this structure event info with two fields, date, which is string. For simplicity, I would never do that with strings, but for now that will suffice. Location, date and location. And we want to fill some variable right here, event info, and date will be, so once again, I'm using those captures. That will be date. Okay, this will be location. Everything is auto completed, of course. So caps, this will be like location, right? Here, and then I believe we need to convert everything to strings here, and normal. It here once again to string. So we have this event info, and complete current statement adds a semicolon for me, and we can print it, or alternatively we can put them into vector. Like let's collect all the recent events to the vector. Select some vector events with the vector of event info, empty vector at this time, and like if it's a current year recent event, I will just add it to this vector. Well, events, it's called events, and I have several suggestions. First, like let's make events mutable. Once again, like when I'm defining a variable, I just don't want to have it like mutable. I don't know how I'm going to use it. But Rastrova tell me, well, it is mutable because you're trying to change it somehow. Okay, let's make it mutable. And another stuff. So we can do this plus equals in some programming languages, but we cannot do by default in Rust. So Rastrova understands us, and there is a suggestion to replace with push. And this is something that I really like, because I have to write code in many programming languages, and that is something that there's my problem, and maybe some others have this problem too. Like I just don't remember syntactic things for every particular programming language, so I need this help actually. So, and I believe that it's a good thing to have. So we've pushed it to this vector, and maybe we can print all of them after our loop. And I will show you something else here. Like I can print those events with, for example, for each loop. And look, there is something interesting here. There is no for each method for vector. But Rastrova knows that in many cases like this one, we'll actually need to write iter. So we transform our vector to iterator. And then with that iterator, we can do a lot of other stuff. So, well, we can do that for maps, for example. Once again, so I need for each here. So we're just completing several methods at once. What do we actually need? Well, we have this for, and then some body, and then something like this. Okay, and we are adding format, and we want to print this event info. There is some problem. And we know, like, when Rust Rover shows us a problem, we know that in many cases there will be a solution. So something that we actually need here. So what's the problem? Well, it's not that easy to print event info because there is no trait implementations. But we can do things like this. We can derive this debug trait for this stuff or display. So let's do something like this one. So there are two changes. First, we're getting this format specifier to apply debug instance. And second, we have this additional line here. So we don't have to jump to other places of our program to write our code. Because if it's like easy stuff, then it can be added for us automatically. That's an idea behind Rust Rover, as I'm telling you again and again. So let's see how that works. So what are those events? Here, oh, it's test. I don't need this. I need to run a program. Here we are, a lot of events. Okay. Another feature which I like very much. Like, chances are many of you have something to do with web development. And I'm a big fan of web development. I'm a big fan of HTML, for example. And I'm joking a little bit here. Sorry about that. But Rust Rover has a lot of stuff for web development. And some of that stuff we can use right here. So there is one thing that I want to show to you. Like, let me copy this loop. And so I want to print date and location, but I want to print them as HTML elements. So I want to create a template for HTML here, maybe to put it somewhere to generate HTML file or something like that. So remember those language injections. It's not only about regular expressions, it's also about HTML. So let me inject language here. I need HTML. So this will be HTML. You see, it was temporarily injected. So it will not stay forever. There is a way to make it persistent, but for now, that's fine. And I will need a table row and something some of you may know, some of you may not know. Something like that. And then I press stop. And here we are with table rows and table data. And we have two format specifiers for our values. So what is this actually? So this expansion was a result of so-called Emmet. If you are into front-end web development, you know what Emmet is. It's a kind of a language for generating HTMLs, like in this case. So we've generated all this stuff. And we can say just crazy things like it could be table with rows, with this amount of rows, with this amount of cells. Everything in HTML can be generated right here. By the way, let's check how it works, if it works at all. Yeah, so we have a lot of tags, HTML tags generated for us very easily. So that, once again, that's language injection. So you see that there are a lot of features, and of course, I can show you those features like for ages. And real developers, those who use this again and again, they know much more stuff. But I should say, like, for example, these language injections. if you write HTML, you can use this injection. If you write SQL queries, you can use language injections for them as well. And by the way, the Rastrova comes with a database tool. So we can add, for example, we can add data source, maybe like SQLite or Postgres, something like that, and whatever. So we have a debugger, for example, so we can put this breakpoint and run the code and check variables. For example, let's do it here. Like we have this counter, and like I just run a debugger, and it's very easy. So I just can look here, all the variables, their values, and I can step over or step in, just whatever. So it's like big idea, but what I wanted to show you is that how we can use all that stuff to do our job, the job of developers. And I think that's it, what I wanted to share with you. And one other thought. So please use Rastrova and submit bugs. So we are waiting for your suggestions, for your problems, for your issues, and we are ready to fix them. So it's our goal to make this product appropriate for every Rust developer out there. Yeah, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Vitaly, for your talk and presenting us the product. We can feel that you are proud as a company, that you're proud of this product, and you are looking forward to showing it to the world and launching it. In fact, we have a bunch of interesting questions from the audience, and if it's okay for you, we can do a quick question answer. Does that make sense?
Sure, let's do that.
Perfect. Now, the first question comes from Carl. I will show it to you here. He says, this is very innovative, and I can only second that. But he also asks, how much are you using your own rules? Are you going to incorporate your own AIs, or are you using other existing AIs, existing language servers? Can you talk a little bit about how Rust Rover uses your entire ecosystem and other ecosystems?
Sure. So first, everything that I showed, there is like no AI harmed or used here. So it's really like algorithms in our implementation, and we don't use Rust Analyzer, for example, as an example, main example of other language servers. We have our own engine, which is implemented specifically for Rastrova. It is written in Kotlin. That's the main language for JetBrains these days. So it's just how we parse everything, this Rust code, and we analyze it, and we build a lot of structures behind the source code, and then we analyze what we have in the source, and we try to come up with suggestions. So those are our own rules. And of course, by the way, it's very easy to use external stuff here. So for example, it's we can use such lint as Clippy, and just a couple of buttons, and you have Clippy, and all Clippy suggestions just fired for you in Rastrova. But I tried not to use Clippy here because we have our own stuff as well. And actually, we don't want to replace some other tool, community tool. Like whenever possible, we use that stuff. For example, like speaking about Rust Analyzer, there are components which are used both by Ars and Rust Analyzer. For example, macro expansion. There is a macro expansion tool which is used by Rust Analyzer, and we use it as well. So we try to do that as much as possible. But yeah, for now, no AI here.
Okay, got it. Understood. Now, Carl had a follow-up question, and he was wondering how you see the source of these rules going forward. Is this something where You at JetBrains will invest over the long term in to add more rules and adjust these rules to maybe developments in Rust, or is this something where the community can or should help? Is there a kind of extension system where somebody else can bring rules in? Maybe you can talk a little bit about that. That would be super.
That's great question. Actually, yeah, we have so we call them inspections, and we provide a lot of inspections by ourselves. So we inspect a code and provide some quick fixes. This is how we call that. And those inspections, they can can be either provided by us, but they can also written like in a very declarative way by everyone. Like you may have your own set of inspections for your own project, and those are just files, so you can share that with others as well. So that's also possible. So, and it's a really nice mechanism for writing those inspections. You don't need to know like a lot of stuff about programming languages to write them. So there is a special language for writing inspections, and you can use them in your projects. But
Got
we,
it.
of course, we are trying to explore issues that developers have and try to come up with new ideas for those inspections. So you see, like if there is a new language feature and we see that many developers try to use it like in a wrong way or have problems with it, like we have this stuff like we can check statistics. If a developer allows us to have access to that statistics, usage statistics, we can use that information and we can come up with our own hypothesis whether us developers need that inspection or not. And if they need, we can definitely come up with something.
Okay, got it. Okay, understood. Now, the next question is from Harold, and he seems to like Sea Lion pretty much, and he is asking whether the Rust plugin will remain in Sea Lion. Where's the difference? And he thinks that sometimes he might need both of these tools.
Well, this is an open question at the moment. Like right now, you can use Rust plugin in Sea Lion, and we had another old plugin which is deprecated right now, and this new plugin which we use for Rastrova, you can also use it in Sea Lion. We are not sure about the future, whether this plugin will be available in Rastrova, in Sea Lion or not. I don't know that. And we'll come up with a decision later once we have all the information about usages. So there are several options. Like this can be a paid plugin. So if you buy Rastrova, if you buy this plugin, then it will be available for you. Or there are other options as well. We'll see. We don't have an answer to this particular question at this time. I believe that maybe like when we will be close to release, like when we are going to end this early access period, then we'll come up with all the answers to these questions. But I understand, and we understand that there are customers who want to use Rust with C and C++. So we'll definitely try to accommodate them in one way or another. So we know about this problem and we think about it.
Okay, super interesting. Thank you for this sharing these the current status of your thoughts here openly with us. Thank you very much. Now, I would like to ask two questions. The first one is regarding AI. You already said it. I personally like to use GitHub Copilot, and GitHub Copilot is marketed by GitHub with one line. I just looked it up because I wasn't sure that GitHub Copilot is available for the JetBrains suite of IDEs. Do you have plans to make GitHub Copilot available also in Rust Rover?
Yes, of course, but this depends on one issue. While Rastrova is this work in progress, while it's in the early access period, we decided not to provide any AI features.
Mhm.
Like we have our own set of AI assistants in IntelliJ IDEA
Mhm.
ID and other IDs. So once we are once we have a paid product, then it will be like it will make more sense for us to bundle AI assistant and to allow using other uh, assistants as well.
Mhm.
So right now we're not doing that because it's a
Mhm.
free product and everyone can try. And you know that these days this AI stuff, it costs quite a lot. So it's impossible to provide all that stuff for free,
Absolutely.
unfortunately.
Yeah, absolutely. Fully understand that. Thank you for sharing that with us. The one last question from my side. I want to say thank you because I'm also a teacher and many of my students love your IDEs, and I know that JetBrains is very freely giving away its tools to students, and my students love tools from JetBrains. So thank you for that. So you just said, of course, Rust Rover will be a paid product. We understand that because I mean that is what JetBrains does. Do you think that you will make this tool also available at least for students or maybe even for open source projects or so? Do you have any plans on that?
Thank you so much for this question. Of course, well, all our products are available for students always. Like
Mhm.
if you are a student, you can use all our paid product for free while you are a student. So that's for sure. Rastrova will be part of this program as well. There is one other program for open source developers. So if you are doing open source project, like, and it's, well, we call it significant. So we have some rules how to check that. But for many open source projects out there, it's very easy to get a free license for all our paid products, of course, including Rastrova. So if you are developing a popular Rust crate, for example, you can
Exactly.
definitely get Rastrova for free. That's absolutely that's so Rastrova won't be different from all other our product, and we do that. And like speaking about free stuff, we also try to support local communities. Like if you have a user group which works like regularly, and you have qualified amount of participants, then you can get licenses for free giveaways, for example. And it's we have a special like process for that. You just request those licenses, you get like 2 or 3 licenses every month for something like that, and then you can do giveaways and your participants can get free licenses as well. So we try to do that. And like this support for local communities is something that we are very proud of, actually, because we understand that not everyone can buy our products, although they are not very expensive, I should say. And by the way, we don't know the price for Astrova yet, so I cannot answer that question. But yeah, we try to provide. So if you need license and you can't buy it, there are other ways to
Okay.
get it as well.
Okay. So thank you very much. Thank you very much, Vitaly. We really love this offer. We love that JetBrains is supporting the community, is supporting open source projects, and is supporting students. And of course, I want to say thank you for taking the time, showing us your current state of development. It was very interesting to see where you are. And yeah, with that, I want to say thank you and enjoy the rest of the evening in Cyprus.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ruslins. Thank you,
Thank
Rainer.
you. See you. Bye. Yeah, with that, we are at the end of today's episode of Rust Linz. I hope you enjoyed the two talks that we had. We tried to put together a nice mixture of an open source project and a recent development in the area of IDE. We hope you like that, and we are looking forward to seeing you in the next month when we do our next Rust Linz meetup. With that, I want to say thank you. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for asking questions. Enjoy the rest of the evening. Goodbye. See you next time. Goodbye.